Hey, welcome to Mark's Garage. This is Missy the Wonder Dog. Hey, I'm working on this 47 GMC along with some other projects. Okay, here's what's going on this morning. I want to fire this engine up, or at least try to fire it up. And what I've done is this is the 6-volt battery connected to the starter, which is the way it's supposed to be connected. This is the main wire going into the firewall of the truck. It gets connected, goes through the amp meter, gets distributed throughout the truck. What I'm concerned about is there's no protection on that circuit. So I'm trying to add this circuit breaker here. So the circuit breakers for the truck are over here, and there's all after the power passes through the switches inside the cab, it comes out, and then the circuit breaker protected from the firewall out to the devices. Really does no good if you get a short inside the cab on this main wire to like this switch, for example. There's no protection. It's just if you ground out, it'll burn up the wire, could start a fire. So I bought this circuit breaker on Amazon. I got to figure out how to connect it between here and that main circuit right there. And if I can figure that out, maybe this thing will start. I don't think it's going to start anyways with the 6 volts going to the starter. I don't know if you can, you know what I'll do? I'll step inside here. Here's the starter with 6 volts. I'm going to stomp on this. It doesn't spin very fast. And in the past, I haven't been able to start it with 6 volts. It only starts with a 12 volt jump to the starter motor itself. So I'm going to get all that connected and take it from there. What I've done here is just used a jumper cable, and I clamped it to the cable so it'll hold it in place. So it goes into this main wire into the cab, and I'm just taking the 6 volts right off of the terminal at the starter motor. I'm using a big jumper cable, so hopefully I'm protected inside. And I'm going to walk around to the inside the vehicle, and here's the first thing I notice. I noticed this before, so it's reading, negative 50 amps or negative amperage. It's not at 0, and it wasn't at 0 when there's nothing connected, so that needs to be recalibrated. But I did notice that, the lights come on, and I thought I saw the needle move when I turned the lights on. They don't draw much. It's just the couple, I think 5 little 6 volt light bulbs. There's no headlights connected. There's nothing else. So, and then when I turn the key on, this should send power to the coil, and that moves the needle as well. So in theory, if I turn the key on, stomp on that starter button, it should turn and start the motor. Of course, I don't have any gas hooked up, so I'm going to have to do that next. Okay, so I got the fuel cell connected. I got the ignition switch on. I threw a little gasoline in the carburetor. I'm inside the cab. Doesn't seem to want to idle, but wow, oil is just pouring out of there. Where is that oil coming from? I don't know if you can see that. Right in there. It is just dripping. So I gotta now resolve that and then move on to trying to get this thing to idle. Well, I've set the camera up looking right at where I think the oil leak is coming from because I can't figure it out. Fittings appear to be really tight. But I'll start it again and see if I can figure it out. So key on. Well, the key's not going to work because I unplugged that, so I'm going to start this over. Okay, I've set this up where I can stare at got the camera looking for where the oil leak is. Hopefully it's not squirting out and hitting the camera. But now I'm in the cab, turn the key on, stomp the starter. Was that enough to get oil to start leaking? No. So a little more gasoline. I don't know why it's not idling that either, but I guess I'll have to solve that next. Oh, that was way too much gasoline in there. But let's see if it'll start and stay running for half a second. Well, I see where the oil is coming from. It's coming from the top of the can. See that? Not that can, the gray one behind it. Coming from right behind it. So it must be this is not tight enough. Wow. Well, the oil leak's fixed. I had to tighten this up. That's the oil filter can. Then I had a fuel leak on this side with that glass bowl leaking. I just tightened up down here. I think it stopped leaking. So I'm idling pretty good, but won't idle for any length of time just yet. And I'd probably have to set that somehow. But what I'm going to go after now is I'm going to take this off, put the thermostat in, connect this hose, connect the lower hose, fill it with water. So that way when it does run, assuming the water pump works, it'll stay cool. So now it's Monday morning. I'm going to try to finish up the details on this, get it going. I got the fuse and circuit breaker installed. So you just hung it right off of the terminal and then reconnected that terminal. So that's the main power going into the ignition switch and into the amp meter. And that distributes the power throughout the truck. And I got the radiator hoses on. I got to tighten up the belt for the water pump to work. And then I want to see if I can get this to actually run and idle. Alright, so what I've done now, I've got the generator connected to the wiring harness. And I've connected the water temperature gauge and the oil pressure gauge. And I haven't put any water in it yet, but I'm going to do that soon. But I want to see if I can get it to idle. And so far I haven't been as successful with that. And I'm thinking it's something to do with the carburetor, which I did rebuild, but you know, therein lies the problem. So I'm going to give this a shot and we'll see what happens. Alright, so first thing first, ever to get this thing started, it just won't go on its own. Which again reminds me it must be the carburetor. So I'm going to throw some more gasoline in the carb. Seems to me the more I put in, the longer it runs. So possibly, maybe the bowl's not filling up, or there's a clog from the bowl to wherever the gas goes next inside the carburetor. Turn my key on, stomp on the starter. That was cool. It idled for 30 seconds, but is that really running properly? I did see oil pressure went up. Temperature didn't change. It's going to take a while to heat this thing up. I'm going to put a little more gas in here. What I'm going to do next is stomp on the gas while I got it running. So check this out. Come on. Yeah, and then that just burns up all the gas that I just put in there and it's gone. So I don't know what's wrong with this. Probably the carburetor. Might have to take it off and take it apart again, but I think that's enough for now. I'll say thanks for watching. I don't know how much of this I'm going to edit out, but I'm having trouble getting it to idle. But I'll show you what's going on. Got the key on. I just poured gasoline in the carburetor. Just got to brace myself because there's no seat. It's time for new start. Wait, come on. No. I'm gonna rest for a second. See, to me that sounds like it's not getting gas. So if anybody knows what, have any suggestions, I'm guessing I'd probably have to take this carburetor apart again, figure out why it's not getting gas. Maybe it's just a clogged jet. Who knows? Anyways, bye for now. Thanks for watching. And if you don't subscribe already, I'm up to 180 subscribers. I'm trying to break 200 soon. So thanks for watching.